And at about this time, another steward comes into your room, a different one, Vesk, larger, much larger than you, kind of like grabs your wrist, kind of like lifts you up, taps the restraints off, and kind of like gives like a like half snort, like half kind of like nod towards the door.
Give him a little salute and follow his guidance.
Okay, so you step out at about the same time that he's stepping out of the room. That you guys are kind of like next to each other.
I nodded sorry.
From a room in between the two of you, there's another Lashunta that kind of steps out, different one that you haven't seen before. Seems to be, you're just judging by the insignias, a much higher ranking one than you guys have encountered so far. The Lashunta kind of looks at, the one that was interviewing you, Zidix, and then looks at the Vesk, and then kind of nods. And you see his hand is the black box, and it kind of nods down the hallway. The Vesk kind of like puts his hand on your back and kind of gives you a very unceremonious kind of like push, and
Not
kind of
so
like
rough, buddy.
and the Lashunta, you kind of connecting to you, Zidix. You're free to go for the time being, but do not leave Absalom Station.
What, can we get in contact with you somehow?
We will be in contact with you.
Good enough.
And he kind of, stands there with the other Lashunta, and they two are standing in the hallway, kind of watching as you two are being escorted down the hallway by the Vesk. Right about this time, as you're at the front desk, you see these two kind of being escorted out of one of the side hallways, and the administrative person kind of nods. Huh, look at that. And he kind of like points to them. They'll be the ones that you're looking for, I'm guessing.
Yeah, definitely seems to be. Thank you for your help. Goodbye.
And like before you even like finish your sentence, kind of already is like looking back down at like other work. So the Vesk kind of like looks at all three of you and kind of like sees Tet, and you will not be leaving Absalom Station.
Understood.
There's a very kind of like heavy sort of like authority kind of like tone in the voice. Obviously, the size combined with the uniform, heavy armor. Just
We
kind
don't
of
even have a ship. So.
Can we get our gear back?
kind of like snorts, kind of looks at the person kind of sitting at the desk, and then kind of like points to another kind of like room where you guys get escorted down. You are able to get your gear back.
Thanks, Tiny.
Don't push him, man.
Who do you say that to?
I say that
He's
to
the best.
I say that to Tiny.
Who specifically is Tiny?
Holy
Vesk.
shit. Are you
Do you say it?
Are
You say
doing
it to
that?
the Vesk?
Are you? Oh my god. Do you
Make-
remember nothing?
Make a
Bluff.
bluff check.
Oh my goodness.
You just had to say it.
12.
16.
16. You see a very, very noticeable, very large vein, which is weird considering he's, heavy scales, kind of like emerge from the side of like his neck, and you see the other stewards around kind of like look at you, and they're like, "What the fuck are you thinking?" Kind of like thing with their like eyes, and the guy that kind of like is behind the counter kind of pushes your gear to you, and he's like, "Go now."
Thanks.
Don't. Let's go.
Bye.
You see the Vesk is now kind of like he took a half step towards you, and then you see like another two other humans kind of like standing, and they're just like facing him. They're just like kind of thing, and they all seem to be very, very adamant about you leaving fast.
We'll be back when you guys get more info on that black box. See you later.
Yeah.
So you guys leave the Bastion, And you do notice that, a couple of the stewards, specifically, you recognize 2 of them that were part of the group that had originally arrested you are watching you as you're leaving the bastion.
Okay.
I want to wave at him.
They're not waving.
I don't know if doing these deals with the Spike are gonna help our...
How much did you guys tell him in there?
Everything.
Everything we needed to get out of there.
Yeah, so the conversation about playing things close to the chest just didn't take, did it?
And how would we... If we were detained, who would be the one to bail us out?
You don't have to tell them anything. Did they charge you for something?
We were looking for information, and they had some too. So we actually
What did you
gathered-
walk away from that you didn't know before? Like, what did you gain from this? Let me know that.
That the place where we were picked up was uncharted. There was
Uncharted,
no ship.
untraveled.
There's no ship traffic there at all. So
We knew that.
the thought, the distress signal, we didn't know if it would work within that planet.
Distress signals get logged every time they go out like that, and ours didn't get logged at all.
Give me a engineering check, Ted.
Natural 20.
Natural 20?
That took a
Perfect.
while.
Well, total then is going to be,
Probably up there.
it's going to be 30. Total.
So, remembering, you haven't really had a time to kind of think about the finer details of what's transpired over the last, week and a half or so. But you realize, just from their kind of correspondence, like their reciting of, the remoteness of this planet, and then you remembering travel time for messages such as this, are still, while much faster than, say, like radio transmissions, it's obviously used through drift beacons. Communication is done through that. It's still, you realize the fact that somebody picked you up in less than a day on a... Well, it was just recapping. It was a couple hours, but I mean, the fact that it was less than a day, let alone, a reasonable amount of time, there's no reason you guys should have been able to be picked up in the time that you had been.
Seems like the gears are turning in that little noggin of yours there, Ted.
Somebody definitely had plans for us or that ship.
The Kandahar?
Yes. When we sent out that SOS signal, we should be on that planet dead by now.
I agree.
And that signal would have been going for years and years to come. So the fact that we were picked up as fast as we were, if at all, as a matter of fact, is noteworthy.
And yeah, that's what
And-
we gathered from that interrogation.
Well, we're being played here by multiple sides, and we have no avenue of how to go forward as of this moment right now. That can change very easily.
It can, but they will be in contact with us after they do a thorough research on that black box.
So we just need to do what we've been doing. Watch out for ourselves and do our own footwork.
Okay.
We
what
can't
about
rely on
this?
anybody else to do anything that we wouldn't.
I know. That's why I'm worrisome about this job in Pipe Town.
You gotta...
Do they have jurisdiction down there? Do we know? Do they patrol down there?
Who, the wardens?
The stewards.
Oh, the stewards. I mean, they have jurisdiction pretty much all over the sector. They protect the whole system.
The stewards, just because it's common knowledge, they do keep the kind of tenuous peace that is the pact, the alliance between all the worlds within the pact world system. Another thing that kind of seems odd is the fact that, while obviously they have jurisdiction on Absalom Station, usually there wouldn't be as much of, a sequence of events as you guys have been through just for showing up as you had. Most likely you would be like slapped with like a fine, or, perhaps something else would have gone up of it. But just by the very suddenness and obviously very strange happenstance around the black box itself, like being the catalyst of this whole series of events. It seems that the fact that the stewards immediately got involved as soon as that object surfaced is a pretty big flag.
Yeah, the fact that they they really shouldn't have had any way to know that we had that. The fact that they just walked up and were like, "Hey, you have this, give it to us."
Yeah.
That
It's a good thing we found out what we did when we did, because now we have a little bit more leverage with them. And we did find out about this xenobiologist, Mary Reed.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
Xenobiologist. What about that Fitch man? Fitch your
just a normal astrophysicist.
What's wrong with being an
Supposedly,
astrophysicist?
Both of them died roughly 5 years ago.
I'm saying the xenobiologist probably had something to do with that Akata being on board.
It might have had to do with the destination too, the planet that we ended up at.
Possibly.
Quite possibly.
There's an astrophysicist on board too. He doesn't have to do too much with the animals' daily bits.
That's true.
The question is, why transport a bunch of people in an Akata as cargo?
And another thing, they've been dead for 5 years after we woke up.
Yep.
Mary Reed was presumed dead for 5
We weren't
years.
in there for 5 years, were we?
We could have been. We easily could have been. Those were hibernation chambers. I mean, they're designed to sustain people over time.
That's true. If it's really been that long.
And I'm just speaking for myself, but there's some memory gaps. I mean, I remember things before that, but
Same here.
the way that I got there is fuzzy. So I think that
Same.
also speaks to the length of time we were in those things.
I know, and I thought having the ship's name would have sparked something in my mind, but I can't think of anything.
The really kind of jarring thing, now that you've been kind of gathering this information, is that in your mind, you, again, yes, as Ted's explained, it just seems like a gap, lapse of memory, you took a nap and you woke up, but you're not sure when that gap ended, or when it started and when it ended. And, as the namesake of the gap that occurred, some 300 odd years ago, any sort of missing information, even on a personal level, is very, disconcerting.
What year is it?
So
they don't get that.
So in that sort of regard, it might be, just kind of kind of a strange, I guess, rediscovering of your own pasts.
You gotta get in contact with your parents.
Yeah.
They might have aged even more.
They might not even be around anymore if it's been 5 years.
Really?
They were getting up there.
What's wrong with that? People ruin. People die. Get over it.
No, humans are sentimental about the people they care about.
I mean, I care about people too, but your mother and father are just the people that made you. That's it.
Well, they're much more than that for humans.
Well, that's an aspect that I'll never understand, like pickles or daisy chains. I don't know. I still don't understand those concepts. It's foreign to me.
Well, a pickle is a cucumber that's in
What's
a
a
jar.
cucumber?
A cucumber is a vegetable.
It's a vegetable, like a plant.
Yeah, like a plant food.
Oh well, I just say so.
I didn't know you called them that. We just call them vegetables.
You could have just said it was a plant food. I didn't know what a pickle is.
Well, pickle is you take the cucumber, the plant food, you put it in a jar, and the jar is filled with vinegar, and
You
just
hear
leave it
over
time.
your comm, just a little, bloop, like the comm kind of pops to life, and you see the face of Skada. And he kind of looks at you and he's like, "What happened? Thought you guys were going to stay in touch. Haven't heard anything from you." What's up, dude?
Decided.
They had a little interesting run-in with good old Johnny Longarm, and we got a little bit of information. We got a little bit of research done, and
A whole lot of reflecting on all of it.
yeah, I think we're gonna need to reconvene here and figure out a direction.
I would agree. I got a little bit more information on our end, or on my end here. don't you guys meet me down at Drift's End? We got a little bit to discuss.
Could always go for a drink.
Yeah, I need a few right now.
All right, so you guys start heading down to the spike.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on the way, you, Ted, through your personal comm link, hear Buzz. Now, don't get mad, but while you were holding on to that black box, I made a copy of those files that I wasn't able to access. I was able to at least make a rough copy. It's all the security's there, still intact, but I feel like it might have been a good idea considering you guys don't seem to have it anymore.
I wouldn't have expected anything less. That's usual protocol for when we scan things, Buzz. It's good to see that you're still all there mentally.
Well, see, this is the thing. I wasn't able to copy all of it. Just even outside analysis of, the architecture, I only was able to just grab random bits, and I'm not even sure I'll be able to access them in any time soon to figure out what they are. I gotta say, boss, this is some heavy-duty security.
Security's one thing, but as long as we've got data, that always leaves a fingerprint, Buzz. We'll find a way to use it and bring it to our advantage.
All right. Well, I'll keep trying to kind of connect the dots here, I guess. But I just thought I'd let you know while I was, pondering on it.
Yeah, why don't you put yourself in for a commission, bud? Done well.
Wow, first promotion ever. Thanks, boss.
Yeah, you're
really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Always happy to help.
All right, so you guys make your way down to the Drift's End in the Spike, and with a lot of questions kind of floating in your minds about where you've been in the last 24 hours, and also kind of where you might be going based on what Skada has. We will close it here just because we don't have Skada here, obviously, but you have plenty of stuff to catch up on in the next session.